Okay, so here's the practice exam. Problem number 1. How do we do it? Well, basically, remember when we have these 3 equations with 3 letters things, these are hard. What you want to do is get one letter to drop out of all 3 equations, like get rid of all the x's, or get rid of all the y's, or get rid of all the z's. It doesn't matter which one, just pick one letter and get it to go. Now, the e, you want to do this in a way that's easy. The easiest one to get rid of here is going to be y. Do you see the reason? Right here, y is already missing. We don't have any y there, so he's already gone from there. These two, if I just add these 2 equations up, the y will drop out. So let's do that. Let's just take these 2 equations, 5x minus 2y plus 3z is 40, and 3x plus 2y is negative 80. Let's just add them up. You get 8x, these cancel, plus 3z, add these up, what is that, minus 40. So I have an equation now that has x and z, and then bring down this one also, which has x and z. 4x minus 4z is 24. Now I have 2 equations that don't have y in them. It's 2 equations, 2 letters, so I can solve. Now, how am I going to solve these? Well, again, you got to get somebody to drop out. What can I do? I can multiply the bottom equation by negative 2, because negative 2 times 4 will make that negative 8x, and then the x's will cancel. So I have 8x plus 3z is minus 40. The bottom one becomes minus 8x, right? Goes boom, 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 plus 8z, and that'll be minus 48. Add them up. What are we going to get there? These will cancel. 11z equals minus 88 divided by 11. Z is minus 8. So we got one letter. Now, let's get this out of the way. Now that we have one letter, how do we go back and get a second letter? You go back. You don't go all the way back to the beginning yet. Well, I guess you could. Yeah, just go back to this equation right here that only has x and z. That'll work. So 4x minus 4z. Basically, you go somewhere that only has 2 letters. Plug in that z right there as negative 8. And so what do we get? 4x plus 32 equals 24. Subtract 32. 4x is minus 8 divided by 4. X is minus 2. So we've got x and z. Now we go back to get y. Go wherever you want. I'm going to go right here with this third equation because it only has x and y. So I'm going to go 3x plus 2y is negative 80. And I'm going to plug in x is negative 2. Right there. 3 times negative 2 plus 2y is negative 8. That's what? Negative 6 plus 2y is negative 80. So that's good. Add 6 to both. So 2y is, what's that? Minus 74 divided by 2. Y is minus 37. So we've got it. We had x was negative 2, and what was z? Z was negative 8. So our answer is x, y, z, negative 2, negative 37, negative 8, x, y, z. Okay, number 2, same kind of thing. Want to get all the letters to drop out. So how about we just do x? I can get these guys to drop out if I just take this bottom equation and multiply by 3. That'll be 3x. It'll cancel the minus 3x. So let's do it. Minus, I'm just trying to get the x's to cancel. Watch what happens. They're all going to cancel. But I'm just focusing on x. So the middle equation here, when I multiply by 3, 3 will go boom, 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 and boom. So I'll get 3x plus 9y minus 9z is 3 times 2 is 6. So when you add these up, cancel 0, cancel 0, cancel 0 equals 0. So what does that mean when you get 0 plus 0 plus 0 equals 0? That's actually infinite solutions. If you get 0 plus 0 plus 0 equals a number that's not, where that number is not 0, then that's no solution if you get that, because that's not true. How you can remember it, if you get something that's not true, like 0 plus 0 plus 0 equals 7 or something, that's not true. No truth, no solution. But if you get something that's true, 0 plus 0 plus 0 does equal 0, that's infinite solutions, which is our answer to number 2. Could be both versions on the real test. Make sure you know how to get no solution when it's not true, and when it is true with all zeros, it's infinite solution. You can put that in your 3x5 card. Okay, so we got to graph these equations. Let's go over here. I'm just going to grab this 3x and jump it to the other side. Becomes y, greater than or equal to minus 3x, right? When things jump to the other side of the equal sign, they change their signs. So I'll put a plus 0 out there. So this is where we start at a height of 0 right there. And then we go minus 3 over 1, rise over run for our graph. So down 3, down 1, 2, 3 over 1. So right there. So there's that line. Let's do the second one. Grab this guy, bring it down. 4x minus 6y less than or equal to 12. Got to solve for y. Grab that 4x, jump it over. Minus 6y less than or equal to minus 4x plus 12. Divide through by minus 6. Now what does that do when we divide by negative? It flips the symbol the other way, doesn't it? When you divide by a negative, flip the symbol. So we get y greater than or equal to. Now, right here, two negatives cancel. 4, 6, divide top and bottom by 2, be 2/3 x. And here, positive over negative is negative 2. So we start at negative 2. So start, and come over here and start at negative 2. So right down here at negative 2. And then we rise over run. So go up 1, 2 over 1, 2, 3 right there. So it's going to be like that for the second one. And now the third one, this is just y hitting at 7. So it hits the y-axis. Right at 7, goes right through the y-axis 7. Okay, let's graph the three of them now. So go back to the red one. Y is greater, so we're supposed to shade above that line. All right, so we're looking for where all the shadings overlap. Now let's do the blue one. What's it say about the blue one? This is the blue one here. Y greater. It's also shading above the blue line. So far it's over here where we have, this is the area where we have the double shading. Now the final one, the green, y is less, so that's below the green line. So where do all three shadings overlap? Where do we see that? Right in here. That triangle is where all three shadings overlap. That's the answer to our question. Okay, so on number 4, we're graphing. So let's take this equation, let's jump. We always got to get y alone, right? To graph, we got to get y alone. Jump that 2x over, y less than or equal to minus 2x plus 7. Right, that 2x becomes a negative 2x when it jumps to the other side of the symbol. So let's graph it. We start at up 7, so that'd be right there, up 7. And this rise over run, so rise over run, go down 2, 1, 2, over 1, right there. Connect the dots. So I'm going to do a few more dots, down 2 over 1, down 2 over 1, like that. Okay, and now let's do the next one. It hits the x-axis at 6. That's right there. hits the x-axis right at 6. Okay, the next one. Now, this is x at 0 hits the x-axis. This is the x-axis right at 0. This is 0 right on the x-axis right there. Hits the x-axis at 0. And finally, this one hits the y-axis at 0. So it goes through the y-axis at 0. Okay, so now we want to find where all the shadings overlap. This could end up being a big mess. But to make things simple, notice they're almost all less. Right? Y less, x less, y less. All those are less. The only one that's greater is that x. So it's going to be down here. Because it's below all the lines, but it's to the right of the purple one. It's to the right of the x. It's greater than x. It's to the right, but it's below all those lines. There we go. Is that too? Here, I'm nervous that you don't understand. So I could do y less. I could do it more thoroughly. Y less. That would be this. Right. Keep that line going even further. Y less. That's below the y. Let's do the blue. The blue here says x less than 6, so that would be left of 6. See where the shadings are going to end up overlapping? The purple says x greater than 0. Greater is to the right, so that's to the right of the purple. See how all the shadings are overlapping down there? And finally, y is less than 0. That means below the green line. So they all overlap down here. Okay, so this is a 3 in the hook, which means it's a 3-for-1 deal. So we break down the, I'm going to go to 64 over here for a minute. 64 is 8 times 8, 2 times 4, 2 times 4, each of those 4s, 2 times 2. So we end up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 2s. So this is the cube root of 6 negative 2s. And it's just going to be kind of messy. Negative 2, negative 2, negative 2, negative 2, negative 2, negative 2. No, that's not true, actually, huh? Because 6 negatives would be positive. So that's not true. How do we do that then? What do we do? Well, it's actually 3 negatives and 3 regular 2s. You see that? Because 3 negatives make a negative, not 6 negatives. That was wrong of me, because 6 negatives, an even amount of negatives, would be positive. That was not true. Okay, now the x's, 6 of those, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And the y's, 12 of those y's. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I'm going to do them in groups of 3 for obvious reasons. There's 12 of them. All right, let's ship out whatever we can ship out. He's a 3 shipper, so there's 3 negative 2s. Out comes a negative 2. 3 regular 2s. Out comes a regular 2. 3 x's. Out comes an x. Another 3 x's. Out comes an x. 3 y's, 3 y's, 3 y's, 3 y's. Each of those sending out a y. So that's y to the 4th. You could just divide the powers. 6 divided by 3 and 12 divided by 3 if you want to save some time. So what do we get? Negative 2 times positive 2, which is negative 4. And what else? X squared, right? 2 x's. Y to the 4th. There's nothing left inside the root. Everything left, so the root completely vanishes. Okay, number 6. 4 in the hook. So that means he's a 4-for-1 deal. So we have the 4. I'm going to take it to the top and the bottom. 4th root of 4 x's. And on the bottom, 4th root of. Now what's 81? 9 times 9. And each of those is 3 times 3. 3 times 3. So we get 4 3's. Okay, let's do the shipping here. 4 x's in, 1 x out. 4 3's in, 1 3 out. That's it. X over 3. Nothing's left in any roots, so the roots both vanish. It's just x over 3. Okay, number 7. So find g of 18. So I'm going to plug 18 in there. right? It goes in right there, so we get the cube root of 18 minus 26, which is the cube root of what? Minus 8. And so what's that? Well, that comes down cube root of minus, getting kind of scribbly there, minus 2, minus 2, minus 2. And, okay, we get 3 of these in, sends 1 out, they're gone. So that's the answer, -2. There's nothing left in the root. It's a 3 for 1 deal. Ships out a single -2. Nothing left in the root. The root vanishes. Okay, it says use radical notation to write the expression. Now, what does that mean? It means make it a root. Radical is root. So make it a root of some kind. Well, how do we do that? Well, you remember the rule that anything to a fraction like a, that's supposed to be a over b, to the a over b power, the b swings around into the hook like that. The denominator swings into the hook, so we have 4m to the 1/3. That 3 is going to swing into the hook. Now, careful, the 1/3 is only on the m. It's not on the 4. So the 4 is going to just sit there. The 3 will swing around here and be the 3rd root of m to the 1st, which is just 3rd root of m. You don't need the first power. M alone means m to the 1st power. So there it is. It didn't go over the m. It didn't go over the 4 because it wasn't on the 4. If they'd had the 4m like this to the 1/3, then the 3 would have swung around for the whole thing. So only the m was raised to the 1/3 power, so only the m ends up in the 3rd root. Okay, so number 9, how are we going to do this one? Well, write with positive exponents. So a negative power, what does that do? It flips it underneath a 1, 216 and then the power becomes positive. Is that good so far? A negative power jumps, it's negative, it's unhappy where it's at. It jumps to the other side of the fraction, then becomes positive. And now what do? Now the denominator swings into the hook, and so we get the 3rd root of 216, and then you get the 5th power. Now, how you can do the 3rd root of 216? Use your calculator. Break down 216. I think 216 divides by 6, doesn't it? Yeah, 6 times 36, and that's 6 times 6. Now, you could break those 6's down to 2's and 3's, but why bother? We have 3 of them right now. That's perfect. So, in other words, we have the 3rd root of 6 times 6 times 6, all to the 5th power. So what happens with that? 3 6's in, sends 1 6 out, and they're gone. So that becomes 1 over 6, just plain 6, to the 5th power. See what happened there? The 3 6's in the root, sent 1 6 out of the root, and then the root vanishes because there's nothing left in the root. And then just use your calculator. 6 to the 5th power, that's 1 over 7776. There we go. Okay, number 10. Simplify the expression, write with positive exponents, powers. Okay, what's the rule here? First off, powers outside parentheses multiply, and then there's an invisible one there, multiply powers inside parentheses. Powers outside parentheses multiply powers inside. So we get y. Now that 5 is really 5 over 1, isn't it? So it's going to go 5/10 x to the 1/10. The bottom stays the same for now. Okay, that good so far? So the power outside parentheses, the 1/10, multiply the 5 and multiply the 1. Now what do? Well, negative powers are unhappy where they're at. They're going to jump to the other side. Everybody else stays put. So he comes up, y to the half. 5/10, I'll leave that as it is for now. X to the 1/10 over x to the 1/5. Good? So that guy just jumps up and becomes positive, right? When negative powers are somewhere, they jump to the other side and then become positive, regular powers. Okay, now what do? Well, these guys are side by side, so they're going to add, and these guys are vertical, so they're going to subtract. But to add them or subtract them, we have to have common denominators. So what's that going to be? Well, we know 5/10 divided by 5, top and bottom, that's a half. So we have y to the half, y to the half. And what about the x's? It's going to be x to the 1/10. The bottom, have to multiply top and bottom by 2. X to the 2/10, right? So now, what's that going to equal? These guys add, side by side, that's going to be 1. They add. These guys subtract. And wherever the bigger one is, that's where the answer ends up. 2/10 minus 1/10 is 1/10 on the bottom, because the bigger one was on the bottom. Wherever the bigger one is, that's where the answer ends up when they subtract. Whenever they subtract, the answer ends up where the bigger one is. So there we go. Y over, and you don't even need that 1 anymore. Just regular y means y to the 1. Y over x to the 1/10. Okay, so we have a 5 in the hook. So this is a 5 shipper. I'm going to take that 243 over here, break it down. Use your calculators. 3 times 81, 9 times 9, 3, 3, 3, 3, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 threes. So this is the 5th root of, and then we get negative 3, negative 3, negative 3, negative 3, negative 3. 5 negatives is negative 243. Okay? Now what about x to the 25th? Well, it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 25x is 5 groups of 5, followed by y squared. Okay, so we're shipping out now in, he's a 5 shipper, so 5 negative 3s. Ships out a negative 3, and they are gone. 5 x's, ships out an x, ships out an x, ships out an x. Every group of 5 is going to ship out an x. So what do we end up with on the outside? Minus 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 x's. What's left inside? 5th root of, only the y squared. There's our answer. A shortcut to save time would have been just take the 25 power and divide by 5. That tells you how many groups of 5 come out. Okay, so number 12. So I'm going to take this 396 and break it down. I do not know what is in a 396. So divide by 2. I know 2 goes in because it ends even. That'd be 198. Divide by 2 again, and that's 99. That I recognize. 9 times 11, 3 times 3. So we have 11, 2 3s, 2 2s. All right, so negative the square root of 2 2s, 2 3s, and an 11. There's the guts of the 396. And then we have 8 A's. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 A's. See, I'm doing them in groups of 2 because there's nothing in the hook, which really means 2, doesn't it? And then 19 B's. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 B's. All right, let's ship stuff out. He's a 2 shipper. Nothing's in the hook, which means he's a 2-for-1 deal. 2 2s in, 1 2 out, they're gone. 2 3s in, 1 3 out, they're gone. 2 A's, 2 A's, 2 A's, 2 A's. So we get 2 times 3 on the outside, which is 6. Bring it down here. 6. And then each of these A pairs sends out an A, so A to the 4th. And each of these 2 B's sends out a B. So that's what, 10, 8, no, 9 B's with 1 B left over inside and an 11 left over inside. The negative sign that's already on the outside, that just stays out there. Square root of 11B. The 11 and the B are left inside. So there it is. It's 2-for-1 deal. All right, how do you find the distance between 2 points? What do? Well, the distance formula is the square root. You want to have this on your 3x5 card for the test on Monday. x1 minus x2 squared plus y1 minus y2 squared. So this is x1, y1, x2, y2. So that's going to be, that distance is going to be the square root of x1 minus x2 minus 12 minus negative 7. Watch the double negative thing. plus y1, 8, minus y2, 1 squared. So that's the square root of double negative here, as you know, is positive. So that's minus 5 squared plus 7 squared. So what's that? 25 plus 49. What's that? Square root of 74. And so that's what they want here is the exact answer. And then they want it round. Then they want you to use your calculator after that. Hit the square root of 74. I'm getting 8.602. I don't know how far they want you to round. Whatever they say. There is the calculator answer. Okay, so we're supposed to simplify all these things. There's nothing in any of these hooks, so they're all 2 roots. Let's break down the 48. 6 times 8. 2 times 3. 2 times 4. 2 times 2. So what does that give me? That gives me 2 square root of 1, 2, 3 2s, no, 4 2s, and a 3. Let's do the next one. 32. 4 times 8. 2 times 2, 2 times 4, 2 times 2, 3, 4, 5 2s. And finally, the 75, 3/4 is 75 cents. 5 times 5, so that's plus the square root of 3 times 5 times 5. Okay, let's ship the stuff out now. It's 2 for 1 deal. There's nothing in the hooks, 2 for 1 deal. 2 2s in. 1 2 out, multiplying the 2 that's already out there. Another 2 coming out, multiplying. So 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. They're multiplying out there. Root 3. 2 2s sends 1 out. 2 2s sends 1 out. They multiply the 3 that's already out there. 3 times 4, 12. The other 2 is left in. It's like this 3 was left in. Final group over here. 2 5s in, just ships a nice 5 out, and they're gone. 5 root 3. Okay, now, can we go any further with this? Yeah, this guy and this guy are like roots. Remember, when it comes to adding and subtracting roots, you can only add and subtract like roots. So 8 roots of 3 and 5 roots of 3 is 13 roots of 3. And the minus 12 root 2 is just different. It's unlike, and they just stay separate. And that's the answer. Okay, so this is another. There's nothing in any hooks. So this is a big 2 shipper. So I'm going to break everything down. Let me see. Just a bunch of mostly letters. So we got 4 square root of a to the 7th. That's going to be 7 A's. So I'm going to write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 A's. B to the 11th. 1, 2, 3. I'm writing them in 2s because it's a 2 shipper. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 9, 10, 11, 1 extra. So what's coming out here? 2 A's, 2 A's, 2 A's, so that's 4A cubed. 2 B's, 2 B's, 2 B's, 2 B's, 2 B's. Each of those sends out a B. That's what, B to the 5th. In fact, let's do this more easily. That's all true. That's all right. But an easier way to save time and effort is to just make these even powers. So a to the 7th would be a to the 6th with 1 extra a, and b to the 11th is b to the 10th with 1 extra b. So when they're odd, just write them as even with 1 more, and even with 1 more. Now, what does that do for me? Well, remember, this is a 2 for 1 deal, so if you have 6 A's in, it'll send 3 out, right? If you were at the store and there were 6 items on sale 2 for 1, you'd pay for 3. 10 B's in is 5 B's out. So what do we got? 4, a to the 3rd, b to the 5th. What's left inside? Square root of a, b, right? The extra a, the extra b. Now for the middle, minus ab. So the 4, that's 2 times 2. The a to the 5th, make it a to the 4th with 1 more a, and b to the 9th, make it b to the 8th with 1 more b. And then again, it's a 2 for 1 deal. So 2 2's in, sends out a 2, minus 2. And 4 A's in, sends out a squared. Hits the a that's already out there, a cubed. 8 B's in, sends 4 B's out. Hits the 1 B that's already out there, b to the 5th, right? There's already an A1, B1 out there. That adds to the 2 and the 4 to be 3 and 5. And then what's left inside the root? A, B. Finally, the last one, 64. 8 times 8. You don't have to break it down anymore, even though I know 8s can break down further. That's 2 8s, so just ship one out. So we get plus 8, and then, so that's 8, a to the third, and then we have a, and now we do with b to the 11th. Let's make it even with one more. Remember, you have an odd power. Whenever you have an odd power, make it even with one more. And then b to the 10th, that'll ship out 5 b's. So we get a to the third, b to the 5th. What's left inside? Root ab. Okay, notice how they all match. A cubed b to the 5th, root ab. A cubed b to the 5th, root ab. A cubed b to the 5th, root ab. So they're all like terms. We just say 4 of those things. Take away 2 is 2. Add 8 is 10 of those a cubed b to the 5th root ab things. I just added and subtracted the numbers in the front because they were all like terms. Their letter patterns matched exactly. Okay, so on number 16 here, you want me to multiply. So the rule when you're multiplying roots is inside stuff with inside stuff. So I get 3 root 6 multiplies root 6 to be 3 root 36. The two 6's that are insiders. Insiders multiply insiders. And outsiders interact with outsiders. Plus, and then when the root 6 goes to the 1, it's just root 6. He's done. And now the second guy, this guy, will go to both. 3 root 2 times 3 root 6, it's going to be negative, because it's negative 3 root 2. Negative 3 times 3, outsiders with outsiders, 9. And 2 times 6 makes 12 inside. And then finally, 3 root 2 times 1, or minus 3 root 2 times 1, is that. Okay, now we can simplify this a little bit. The root of 36, that's just 6. That's just going to be 18. And then 12, that's 3 times 4, and 4 is 2 times 2. So the 2 2's in will send a 2 out to multiply that 9 that's already out there. So that'll be 18. What's left inside? 3. And then I just bring that piece down. All right, and so that's it. None of those are like terms. All of them are different roots, and this one's just a plain number. So nothing further can be done. No more combinations can be done. Remember, these roots are 2 for 1 on this one. Here, let me back up. I probably didn't. Let me explain what happened here. Okay, so from the beginning, we have 18x in here. So you got to break down that 18. 2 times 9, 3 times 3. So the 2 3's in sends 1 3 out. So you get 5 over 3. What's left inside? 2 and the x that was there from the beginning are left in the root. Okay, now we cannot leave roots in the denominator. So we multiply top and bottom only by the root 2x. I don't need the 3 because it's not glued. Now if there was a 3 plus or minus, then it would be glued and I'd have to use the whole thing opposite sign in the middle. Remember conjugate? We'll get to one of those in a minute. But for now, these are not glued, so I just use the root 2x. It's all I need. What does this equal? Well, on the top, it's just going to be 5 times root 2x. On the bottom, it's going to be the 3. And now what's root 2x times root 2x? Well, that's 2x inside a root twice. Remember what roots are? Roots are 2 for 1 deals. So 2x in there twice sends 1 2x outside the root and no more root. Right? You get that? Remember, roots are a 2 for 1 deal. So if you got 2 2x's in the root, that's 1 2x out of the root, and the roots are gone. So what does that leave me with? Final step. This is, again, 5 root 2x on the top. The bottom, 3 times 2x, 6x. We're done. Can't do any more. You can't cancel the x's or anything because they're in different worlds. This one's in a root, and this one down here is out of the root. So we're done right there. What did we do? We got rid of the root from the bottom. Okay, so number 18. It's a 3 in the hook, notice. So let's break down. That 25 is 5 times 5, and the x squared is 2x's. Okay, so now this is a 3-for-1 deal. He's only going to ship things out of his root when they're in groups of 3. So he's got 2 5s right now and 2 x's. He's got to have 3 5s, and then he can ship one out. He's got to have 3 x's, and then he can ship one out. So let's give him one more 5 and one more x. We've got to do it top and bottom so we don't change anything. And so now, what will that do? That on the top, that's just 4 cube root of 5x. On the bottom, look what we've got. 3 5s in, sends 1 5 out. 3 x's in, sends 1 x out. And there we go. What did we do? We got rid of the root from the bottom. All right, let's try number 19 here. Okay, so we have a root and a plus or minus. Remember, when you have a root and plus or minus in the denom, you multiply top and bottom by the conjugate, which means same as denom, but opposite sign in the middle. So I'm going to multiply top and bottom by 1 plus root 3. That's called the conjugate. Okay, let's crank it out. What do we get? That 8 distributes. 8 times 1 plus 8 times root 3. On the bottom, the 1 goes to both, so that'd be 1 plus root 3. And then the minus root 3 goes to both. Minus root 3. And then minus root 3, it's root of 9. So notice these guys cancel. And so bring it on down. What do we have? 8 plus 8 root 3 all over 1. Again, they canceled. Minus, and what's the root of 9? 3. So what can we do with that? That's 8 plus 8, 3. 1 minus 3 in the bottom is negative 2. So now just put both of them separately over the negative 2, and we simplify that is negative 4. This is positive, negative 4 root 3. And there we go. Got rid of the root from the bottom. Okay, so how do you solve problems where you have a root with an equal sign? Step 1, get the root alone. So that means we're going to have to add 2 to both sides. So we'll get the root of 4x minus 7 equals 3. So there's step 1. Second step, you 2 power both sides. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to go 2 power. What happens here? The root and the 2 power cancel because they're opposites. And you just get plain 4x minus 7. The other side is 9. 3 squared is 9. So I 2 powered both sides. Now we can solve it. Add 7 to both. We get 4x is 16 divided by 4. X is 4. Maybe. Step 3 is you must check. So how do you check? Check with original. You got to go back to the first step. So grab that first step right here. Right over here. I'm going to check it. So I've got the square root of 4x minus 7 minus 2 is 1. Put in the 4, the answer you got right there. See if it works. 4 times 4 minus 7 minus 2 is that 1. 16 minus 7 was that 9 minus 2. That's 3 minus 2 is 1. Yeah, that's true. So it's a good answer. 4 is the real answer. Okay, so same thing. Step 1, root alone. So that means I got to subtract the x from both sides to get that root alone. So negative root of 8 minus 7x is minus x minus 16. And now 2 power both sides. So now I'm going to do that. Big old parenthesis, 2 power. So what's going to happen here? The 2 power is going to make the negative positive, and it's going to cancel out the root. Oops, 8. On the other side, you're going to have minus x minus 16 minus x minus 16. You got a FOIL. It's going to be plus x squared plus 16x, boom, boom, plus 16x plus 256. So now that's 8 minus 7x is x squared. Like terms here. 32x plus 256. What should we do now? What should be our game plan now? Now you go into a whole new mode when you have x squared. See how x squared has reared its ugly head? Step 1 is get 0 on the other side. So we're going into a whole new mode now. We got rid of the root. There's no more root, right? No more root. That's gone. But now we have x squared. And when x squared shows up, there's a whole nother game plan. Step 1, you got to get 0 on the other side. So here's x squared on the right side. So we're going to get 0 on the left side. So get rid of the 8, get rid of the 7x, get rid of the 8. Got to go minus 8 and plus 7x to both sides. Gone, gone. So that gives me 0. What's the other side? X squared. What's that? Plus 39x. These two make 39x. Plus, what's that? 248. All right. So that's step 1. Let's go to a fresh screen on this one. X squared plus 39x plus 248. So we're doing the x squared with an equal. Step 1, get a 0 on the other side. We did. Step 2, factor, like with parentheses, like the diamond thing. Remember how we learned to do that? So I'm going to do the diamond. What multiplies to be 248 and adds to be this? So we're going to multiply to be 248 and add to be 39. Now that's a big number. I don't know it off the top of my head. I would take the 248 and I would try dividing by things on my calculator. I'd probably start with 4. I don't think 2 is going to work. I get 4 and 62. Now divide by 6 maybe. And just like some decimal thing. How about 7? No, 7 doesn't work. Divide by 8. So I divide by 8 and I get 31. That's it. 8 and 31 can make the 39. So it's 8 and 31. Both positive. We'll add to be 39. So that worked. So we get 0 equals x plus 8, x plus 31. So step 3, each one equals 0. Those are the 3 steps when you have x squared. So now each one gets their own 0, remember? Because if 2 things times to equal 0, either one can be 0 to make them multiply and be 0. And then just subtract 8 from both sides. So x is negative 8. Subtract 31 from both sides. So x is minus 31. So those are the 2 answers, maybe. See, the problem began with a root. Any problem, there'll be 2 of them on the test Monday. Any problem that starts with a square root, you must do step 3 and check. Usually one of the answers is no good. So now we have to check. Let's check x equals negative 1 and check x equals negative 31. Whoops, that's negative 8, isn't it? Negative 8 and negative 31. Where do we check? With the original. X minus root of 8 minus 7x. X minus root of 8 minus 7x equals negative 16. So that's what we check with. Same thing over here. All right, put in the negative 8 right there. Work it out. Oh, and there. Both places where x is. So what do we get? Negative 8 minus the root of 8 minus 7 times negative 8. Is that right? Negative 8 minus the root of 8 plus 56. Negative 8 minus the root of, what is that? 64. That's negative 8 minus 8. That's negative 16 is negative 16. Yeah, that's a good answer. That worked. Let's try the other one now. put in the negative 3 in both cases. So negative 3 minus the root of 8 minus 7 times negative 3 is that negative 16. This is 8 plus 21. Did I do that right? I don't think that's right, is it? 8 minus 7x equals negative 16. So we got negative 31. What am I doing? 31. That's what I'm doing wrong there. So that's positive 217. Okay, because two negatives make positive. It's 31, not 3. Oh, this should be 31 here also. I'm just totally messing up. All right, so minus 31 minus the root of, what is that, 225, I think? Yeah. So use your calculator. That's 15. And that's minus 46 is my, no. So that's a bad answer. The only answer is negative 8.